November 11th of 2011, and you are, sir?
I'm West Borders.
How are you today?
Fine, thank you.
Well, that's good. So, were you drafted into the military?
No,
No.
I volunteered.
You volunteered?
In World War II, when World War II began. I had applied to go to the Royal Canadian Air Force in 1941. And because our country wasn't in the war, we wanted to go fight the Battle of Britain, and I graduated from Jefferson High School. And 50 of my classmates had already volunteered for the RCAF, and a bunch of them went. And so I volunteered, but I got there late because when I went down to pick up my orders to go to Windsor on December the 8th, he was packing up his office because we were now in the war. And I went around the corner and joined the aviation cadets.
Oh, wow. Did anything like push you to join the service or anything, or did you just do it because all your classmates were doing it?
Well, the whole country was for that. It was an entirely different situation that you all have ever seen. Everyone, from the smallest to the oldest, was all for us, getting in and getting it cleaned up. Because we were afraid that they were going to take over the world with the Axis powers, the Germans and the Japanese, basically.
And from today's point of view, what do you think of the other services now? Do you think it's anything like how you were in the service?
Oh yes, they've maintained themselves pretty well along the social lines. They're a lot smaller than World War II. World War II was humongous. People don't really realize how large it was. Everybody was involved with everything. For instance, you are aware of the 10 years of the war going on now?
Yes.
In World War II, they killed more people every day for 4 years than in all of the 10 years of this current war. Total. Every day. And that's 6,600. So you just cannot believe. The whole country was involved, was mobilized. All the women worked, and the men were going to the services, all the services. They were just joining everything. And we had them 15 years old trying to get in, and some did. Because they just lied, and they took them. You know, so no, everyone was, and everything we did in the country was all aimed at victory in that war. We had been watching it develop for 2 or 3 years, all over Europe, and we could see it coming, and yet we didn't get in it until Pearl Harbor.
So you were about the age of 18 since you just graduated when you joined?
No, I was, yes, I was 19.
19?
I graduated from Jefferson in 1939, when I was 17.
What does the word veteran today mean to you?
It means all people who fought in all of our wars. They all fought for the same thing, to preserve our way of life and our liberty, our individual liberties, and our form of government.
Thank you, Mr. Borders.
Thank you.
Are you going to go to... Hi, my name is Jordan Morris, and today's date is November 11th of 2011. How are you today, sir?
I'm very well, thank you.
And your name is Mr. Chuck Borders?
I'm Chuck Borders.
Alright, so, were you drafted into the military?
No, I wasn't.
No? How did you get into the military?
When I went to college, I joined ROTC, and after I graduated from college with a bachelor's degree, I was also commissioned as a second lieutenant in the Air Force, same day.
Wow.
So, about 3 weeks after I graduated and was commissioned, I went to my first duty assignment.
Okay. Where were you assigned in your first duties?
Well, I went to flight school.
Flight school?
I learned how to fly airplanes. And right after that, I went to Vietnam.
Okay, so you were in the Vietnam War.
Mm-hmm.
And how long, the Vietnam War was how long?
The war itself?
The war itself?
About 10 years.
10 years. And how long were you involved?
At the time that people were going to Vietnam, you only went for 1 year. It was 365. It was called 365 days in a wake-up. Everyone had a calendar with 365 marks on it, and you'd mark a day off every day, and then you got to go home.
Oh, wow. And what do What have you gotten from that experience of being in the Air Force and being in Vietnam?
Well, there's kind of two things. The experience of being in the Air Force is just, you know, being part of the military. The thing about being in the military in combat is that you have such lasting friendships with people that you may never have seen before. And you literally become brothers to each other. You protect each other, you look after for each other, and those bonds stick with you the rest of your life.
So, what would you say was the most important thing that you've ever done for this country? Like, do you think it was joining the military was one of the biggest steps you made for this country, or deciding to fly airplanes, like that sort?
Well, I think if you decide to stay in the military, you've decided to stay because you see that as a calling and a purpose in your life. If you enjoy it and you feel like you're doing some good, then it's important to you to continue to do that. And I felt that way.
How long were you
Please excuse the band students to go to the gym. All band students to the gym. Thank you.
How long were you in active duty, just for the year?
No, I was in 11 years.
11 years?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so this 365 mark thing, so would you go home after a year and then go back? Or how would that work?
Some people could, or you could extend. At the time I was there, I had just recently been married. I had a daughter that was, when I left, was 6 weeks old, and I had never seen her. And I kind of wanted to come home instead of spend another year flying airplanes. So I came home.
So what does the word veteran today mean to you, in your own words? When you think of a veteran?
I think a veteran is someone who has decided in their life, one way or another, to put on the uniform of this country. Doesn't make any difference which branch, and to defend the rights and freedoms that we all have. It doesn't make any difference if they were shot at or not. You know, it's somebody who made that commitment to go serve.
All right. Well, thank you for that.
You're very welcome.
On a farm near Hallettsville, and they were flying airplanes at that time out of Randolph Air Force Base, but it was Randolph Field at that time, and it was in 1930. He was 6 or 7. It must have been about 1929 or 30, and the airplane ran out of gas, and as it had to come and land someplace. So as it did, it clipped a wheel on the fence of their farm and landed in the field. Well, it took a while for them to get communication to Randolph to come and fix the airplane, about a week. So an 8-year-old boy had the opportunity to sit in that airplane for a week and guard it. That's what sold him.
It was a DH-4, by the way. They have replaced by that.
And when he was 6 years old, he said, "I'm going to fly airplanes." And he wrote down on a piece of paper everything he needed to do and study and learn so that he could get into the military. He did. He ran track because you had to be athletic, you had to do this, you had to do this. He folded it up on a little piece of paper and stuck it in the strong box. And so when he graduated from Texas Tech, he had fulfilled his dream. So they kind of bleed red, white, and blue. And our other son also serves and has served. He was a missile officer.
See, Vietnam was my third war, and she wasn't concerned about me. I was too old and mean to get hurt. But when they sent her baby over there to get shot at, she almost had a fit. This was her baby. She worried about him every morning. She'd check the list, listen to this, and she never worried when I was over there. She figured that I'd kill them all anyway, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you so
Thanks,
much.
ladies.
Yes, thank you, ladies.
Yourself. Okay, so I'm Morgan, and what are y'all's names?
I'm Robert Burrows. I'm CJ Burrows.
Okay, nice to meet y'all.
Nice to meet you.
Were y'all drafted into the Army, or did y'all choose to go into the Army?
Signed up. It's Nowadays, it's strictly volunteer. So every person who serves today is volunteer. So no draft. Hopefully, never will be a draft again.
When did you join?
I signed my contracts back in August.
I originally joined National Guard in January 2006 and received my commission active duty in May of 2008.
Wow. So I'm guessing y'all's branch y'all are in the Army. And how long have y'all served?
I'm about to turn 6 years.
About 4 months in, 5 months in.
Oh wow. And why did you want to join the military?
Good.
Always wanted to serve my country, kind of just grew up with it.
There's not a lifestyle like there is in the military. You don't see people taking care of each other like you do in the military, and they take very good care of their own. You get to explore the world. You get to see all kinds of different things. 26 years old, I've seen 6 different countries, and
oh wow.
You get to travel everywhere. The fighting experience, there's nothing like fighting next to brothers who have the same views that you do. And then just the pride behind what you do is just so great in the military.
What does the word veteran mean to you? Like in your own words.
In my opinion, veteran is a word that just means sacrifice, because so much is sacrificed to be a veteran, and it's not just on our end, it's on the ends of our families as well, because we sacrifice our time at home with them. We sacrifice Christmases, birthdays, sacrifice watching your children grow up, so that the people in the country can live a better life, so that they can speak how they want to speak, live how they want to live. So one word for me that would sum up veteran is sacrifice.
Thank you.
I just think someone who put someone else's life before theirs, and just kind of like that brotherhood that I'll do anything for you. Just tell me what you need, and I'll get it done.
Thank you. Do you have anything you would like to say, Candace?
No, I'm just very, very proud of my sons that they've chosen a lifestyle that puts others before themselves. And it's hard being left behind. CJ just got back from Iraq, and it was very hard knowing he was in harm's way every day. But I was always very proud of him. And now Robert's starting that same journey, so I'm very proud of my boys.
Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Some of the
We first celebrated our Veterans Day in 1995. That means that this is the 17th time that you have honored us as veterans. And particularly, I want to thank Leif Johnson and his student council and his cheerleaders for escorting our distinguished visitors and helping with the program. It means a lot to us. Today, we celebrate an Air Force father and son. But first, the father board and wants to see that cross-country team that made him get up so early this morning. Would the cross-country team please rise? That we're rooting for you to come in number 1. Colonel Richard, who on 600 combat missions and fighters in World War II, in Korea, and in Vietnam. His son, Chuck Borders, flew over 180 combat missions in F-4s in Vietnam. He's going to be our master of ceremony, and the father will give us an inspiring message in a few moments. Port Aransas also especially honors the Marine veteran Francis Stokes, who was in all the paper yesterday, a big deal. And he's been with us every time since we started. We're honored to have our Congressman Blake Farenthold, our State Representative Todd Hunter, and and Commissioner Joe McComb, Keith McMullen. They've joined us today in honoring our veterans here and our distinguished father and son. They're joined by our own Charlie Zahn, who was just appointed the County Corpus Christi Port Authority. It's been important to all of us. We tried to get Senator Hinojosa, our state senator. He couldn't come. He sent his respects. A couple of our guests are going to have to leave in a few minutes to recognize other veterans of the Corpus, but they agreed to share a few thoughts with this time. Everybody please be seated, and Congressman Blake would like to say a few words.
Thank you very much. It's good to be in Port Aransas. Today is Veterans Day. It's time a grateful country gives thanks to the men and women of our armed forces who have made such sacrifices so you and I can be here today and live free. Let's give a big round of applause to our veterans and say thank you very much. Federal government can't do enough to help our veterans. We made a promise to them, and we're going to keep it. They served with honor and dignity and have done our country proud and kept us free. And I personally, on behalf of the United States Congress and the entire federal government, say thank you very much, and God bless you all. Hard to believe that Bill Lehman's not running for something. Good morning, everyone. My name is Chuck Borders, and I'll be the Master of Ceremonies today. This is, like Dr. Lehman said, is the 17th anniversary of this program. For those of you who have never experienced Dr. Lehman, aside from today, know that he has an insatiable calling towards veterans and their families. But I'd also be remiss if I didn't thank the other members of this committee, which are Francis Stokes and Bobby Sherwood, who have been in the background for 17 years making this program work. At this time, I would like for you to introduce to you Jocelyn Flood from the Port Aransas High School Student Council to lead us in our invocation.
It has been said that there are only two defining forces who have ever offered to die for you: Jesus Christ and the American soldier. One died for your soul and the other for your freedom. So today, let's join together and thank them both. Please bow your heads and pray. Dear Lord, we thank you for this wonderful day. We thank you for the opportunity to join together to honor the amazing men and women to my left, as well as every other American soldier that has ever served, is currently serving, and to all those who have selflessly given their own life to protect our freedom. The simple act of being able to pray to you is in fact a luxury these men and women have fought to protect, and we thank you for this wonderful blessing. I pray, Lord, for your guidance and wisdom over our great country and our leaders. I also pray for this town, its leaders, our schools, our principals, and our teachers, as well as all of my fellow students. May you continue to bless us all and keep us safe within our community. May your hand be upon us at all times. Thank you, Father, for all the people who have come today to take part in celebrating this Veterans Day and to pay tribute to our military, both here and afar. For theirs is the sacrifice the majority of us will never know. I pray all these things in your Son's holy name. Amen.
This time I'd like to introduce Conley Waite, who is the president of the Middle School Student Council, to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you will remain standing at this time, Jenna Ward and the Port Aransas High School band will lead us in the Stars Program.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright skies through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streamed, and the rockets reckoned, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Jenna, that was magnificent. Band, not so much. Please be seated. At this time, it's my privilege to introduce Dr. Sharon Dowdy, the superintendent of the Port Aransas Independent School District. We are eternally grateful for the support that we always receive from the entire school system, from the elementary school to the middle school to the high school. And Dr. Dowdy, we know that you're the driving force behind that.
Thank you, Chuck. On behalf of the Port Aransas Independent School District Board of Trustees and my staff members, I welcome everyone here today to our 2011 Veterans Day ceremony. As you were coming into the ceremony today, you may have received a poppy that looks like this. These are buddy poppies, and they were given to me last year, courtesy of the local VFW. Dave? Is Dave here? These poppies signify the poppies that grow throughout World War I battlefields and graveyards in an area known as Flanders and parts of Europe. These wild-growing poppies inspired the poem, in Fields of Flanders, written in 1919 by John McCrae. Mr. McCrae actually witnessed the death of his soldier friend in a combat in Flanders. The poem. In Flanders fields the poppies blow between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place. And in the sky the larks, still bravely singing, fly scarce a herd amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders field. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from following hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders field. Whether you are a veteran from a time of peace or from a time of conflict, we know the tremendous pride and honor with which you, our military men and women, have served. And that is why we are all gathered here today, to show you how very proud we are of you. I thank you very much for your time and your service, and thank you for the ceremony today.
Good morning. It's an honor to be with you today. Each year, on the 11th day of the 11th month, as a nation, we pause to express our utmost gratitude to veterans and honor these heroes that are before us. Today we say thank you to these men and women who served our nation. Our nation's soldiers serve here, at home, and in distant lands and seas to protect our nation and its ideals. It is the soldier, not the reporter, who has given us freedom of the press. It is the soldier, not the poet, who has given us freedom of speech. It is the soldier, not the community organizer, who has given us freedom to demonstrate. It is the soldier who salutes the flag, who serves beneath the flag, and whose coffin is draped by the flag, who allows the protester to burn the flag. This nation would not be near as great had these brave men and women, that some call grandmother or grandfather, mother or father, wife or husband, sister or brother, daughter or son, not risked their lives for it. With that, thank you. God bless our veterans, God bless the city of Port Aransas, and God bless the United States of America.
At this time, Constable Bobby Sherwood is going to come introduce you to our veterans that are here today.
Good morning. Good morning. It has always been my task to recognize the veterans that have passed away over this year, and I'm thankful to say that of all the people I talked to, that we did not lose a single veteran here in our community this year. And now I'd like to introduce you our true VIPs and heroes of our community. I'm going to name off the names, and if you'll hold your applause until I'm through, because we have a total of 61 this year. And as I call your name, if you can stand, please stand, and if you can, please wave for the crowd to move. Of course, everybody knows Bill Lehman, Pete Morello, Wes Borders, Gilbert Gibbs, Gary Mock, Francis Stokes, Chuck Borders, J.W. Jackson, Steve Freeman, John Freeman, Richard Moyes, Randy Hansen, Ron Messer, Sam Lawson, Johnny Martin Matthews, George Hassar, Dan Mack, Charlie Zahn, Eno Henning, David Satter, Kenneth Yackel, Chris Posley, Bobby Purdy, Paul McSteepy, Roy Emerson, Ray Bressler, Floyd McClanahan, Al Sorensen, Jim Brandon, Candid Orlando, I apologize if I don't pronounce your name correctly, Roy Guajardo, John Sherman, Bill Duncan, Yogi Barrett, B.R. Ricks, Klein Lamoa, Lynn Leonard, Aaron Reed, Bill Mussett, Dean Kressinger, John Cusick, Vic Bird, Jack Rice Turner, Pat Farley, Johnny Roberts, Dave Mokes, Mark Creighton, Jeff Brewer, Emily Phillips, Rob Phillips, Frank Cadlock, Richard McLean, Stephen Taggart, Clinton Burrows and Robert Burrows, which is the sons of our chief of police here, Ron Skewis, Judge Lloyd Neal, Don Skewis, and my friend Ashley Finn. Let's give a round of applause for our children.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
My name is Chris Eggleston, and I'm the Student Council President here at Port Aransas High School. I'd like to thank you all for coming out, and I'd like to extend an extra welcome to the veterans that came out today. There are many ways for us to serve our nation. For example, Americans can serve our nation by doing community service, voting, or donating to charities. We do what we can to support our nation here at home, but today, I'd like to talk about a greater service. I'm talking about the service of these men and women to my left. To them, service to our nation means protecting us and protecting our way of life by putting their lives in harm's way. We have a great variety of veterans and members of the military with us here today. We have veterans from World War II, veterans from the Vietnam War, and more recent veterans from the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. These veterans have sacrificed their time away from home. They have spent a lot of their time away from friends and family. Some have suffered injuries, and unfortunately, many of their comrades lost their lives to defend the freedom that we hold dearly today. On this day, we should also thank the families of veterans. Families of veterans sacrifice in many ways as well. They must spend long periods of time away from their loved ones. Some of the families of these veterans learned to cope without a father or a mother. Some single parents cared for children alone, while some worried if their spouse will ever come home at all. Some of their children have grown up with only one parent to watch over them. One parent to take them to the park, one parent to teach them to play sports, one parent to teach them right from wrong. The families of these veterans deserve to be recognized for the sacrifice. The sacrifices of the veterans and their families here today have allowed us to live in freedom and live comfortably in our homes with our loved ones. Many of you gave up a comfortable lifestyle so we may enjoy it. You sacrificed your time and you risked your lives to defend our freedom. For that, we thank you.
The important things in life you learn from those that are close to you. My father taught me to pack light and to be ready because he moved me from Mississippi to Washington to Michigan to Illinois to Texas, Okinawa to North Carolina and Japan. In the process, I met the incredible people of the United States Armed Forces. Along the way, he also taught me things like honor, dignity, leadership, and service. He flew combat missions in 3 wars and amassed over 530 combat swords. He's earned the Legion of Merit, the Distinguished Flying Cross, the Bronze Star, the Air Medal, as well as many other campaign and service ribbons. He's always been a role model and a beacon for me to follow. At this time, I would like to introduce our speaker for this year's Veterans Day, my father, Colonel Charles W. Borders.
How in the world do you follow that? Thank you, Simon. Dr. Dowdy, Mayor McMillan, Constable Sherwood, and all the distinguished visitors here, thank you all for coming. And thank your veterans and your families for your service. I'm glad your student council president brought up the families, because I spent 30 years serving in my country in the military. And my partner, Jacqueline, my wife of 66 years, bore much of the burden of wars that I was involved in, that we were involved in. And the families were so important to support us in everything that we did. And I would like to right now recognize all of the mothers, the wives, and the widows of all the servicemen, please stand up and let us recognize you today. I thank you, PAISD staff, for everything that you do to put this thing on. We ran away from home, which is Port Aransas, a few years ago, but we always try to come back for this event. It's always up that way. So, thank you so much, and thank you, students. Go Marls! World War II veterans like me and some others here today fought for our freedoms in 1, 2, and even 3 wars. Basically World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. And our children served in major conflicts as well. And now we have grandchildren serving in Iraq and Afghanistan. They're coming home soon. And when they do, I want you all to remember to greet them with a great big hello and a thank you. You're going to see a whole lot of them coming home pretty soon, if you can believe it. In my lifetime, I have lived in many places. And I've lived in Port Aransas, the longest of any one place that I've ever been. We were here 17 years. And I think since we've been married, we've moved 39 times, or somewhere in that vicinity. Is that about right?
That's right. 39 years.
We now live in Air Force Village 1. It's a retirement community in San Antonio. We've been there for 10 years. It's a very nice place. It's a home of warriors. There's a collection from all the services. They started out as Air Force, but now they take Navy, Marines, Army, every veteran. And we have some remarkable people out there. We live in a hall of heroes. We had a Navy pilot who, he's 95 now. He sunk a Japanese aircraft carrier with one pass all by himself. He dropped 2 big ones down the stack in the Battle of Midway in 1942. And that's a long time. We have an Air Force type that got shot down in Vietnam. He spent 6.5 years in the Hell Hilton, being tortured most of the time. And we have Army veterans and Marines wandering around, still living a productive lives. Many of them have shrapnels from their battles in Europe and in the Pacific Islands. So we live in a hall of veterans. But look what's happening here today. You all do the same thing. You live in a hall of veterans. They're right over there. There's a lot of them too. So you should be proud. I forgot. We have one pilot that he was flying a B-17 to Honolulu on December the 7th, and he landed right in the middle of Pearl Harbor in an unarmed B-17. And that's quite a tale. Freedom is not inherited. It's not free. Every generation has to fight for it, including you young people. It will fall your turn soon. This is your legacy. It's good to remember in your study that the only thing you don't know, the only thing that you don't know know today is the history you have not read. So read your history. For your young folks here, do you realize that 11/11/11 has only occurred this one time in your whole lifetime? And that's today. You will not do this again in your whole lifetime. So remember that. American history teaches us that every fourth generation of major events happens in our history. In 1776, John Adams was the fourth generation to live in his homestead in Massachusetts. Of course, that's where we got individual freedoms and a Republican form of government run by we the people. It's the only one in the world today still. It's the only one. Remember that, young folks. In 1860, the United States verified that all men are created equal with the Civil War. That's 4 generations later. Four generations after that, we had World War II. They call us the greatest generation, but that's not so. Every generation is the greatest generation in this country. 4 generations after World War II, it's now your turn. And your job is going to be, how do we feed, educate, and govern 9 billion people? That's going to be your challenge. The military mission will always be to protect those who make these major decisions in your life. We must always honor those that protect us. The quest for democracy and self-rule began in Greece about 2,500 years ago when 300 Spartans at Thermopylae denied the Persians a victory in Greece, allowing the Greeks to defeat the Persians, and the 30-odd city-states of the Greek Republic became the foundation of what is our government today. They founded democracy from that. It was changed through the Roman Empire, through the British Empire, well, the idea came to eventual fruition here in the colonies. So again, read your history. Our all-volunteer service is a bulwark against our enemies from without and within. The 300 Spartans voluntarily gave up their lives. They knew it was going to happen. Every member of our armed services today is a volunteer. There is no draft. That's been gone for some time. So remember that. Every one of them is a volunteer. He's volunteered to lay down his life if necessary to defend you and to defend what's ours. Internally, our Declaration of Independence and our Constitution defines us. We must protect those documents. We must protect what those documents mean to us. From without and within, we're being bombarded in the world economy and world politics and all over the world. If we can maintain those two things, whatever we're worried about. I wrote my 2 sons a message on this Veterans Day since they were both veterans. And in closing, I'll share it. Dear son, your service to your country and to all of us swells my whole heart with fatherly pride. You have forever earned a place of honor in all current and future households. As their closest kin. Families drink from wells they did not dig and are warmed by fires they did not build because of your sacrifice. When my voice becomes silent, you will hear an eternal echo that says, it is not too late. Keep faith with me. Be faithful, your God, and do not ever despair of your hope. I love you, Dad. May God bless you, veterans, your families. May God bless America and each one of you. And you students, study your history. Thank you.
I landed on Omaha Beach. My father got shot at in 3 wars. My brother served 20 years as a missileer. I was a fighter pilot in Vietnam, and my son is a doctor in the Air Force. The woman that I love is also a military brat that I met on Okinawa when I was 13. Her father also served as a fighter pilot in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. Given all this, I first realized what being in the service meant when I was playing golf with my father one Saturday afternoon in the summer of my junior year in high school in North Carolina. He carried a brick, which is what a cell phone used to look like. And because he was a squadron commander and always had to remain in contact with the command post. On the back nine, the phone rang. Talked for a minute, then he and the other pilots that made up this foursome got in a golf cart and left. I was left standing in the middle of the fairway with 4 sets of golf clubs and no way to get back to the clubhouse. Kind of poof, 2 hours later, he took off with his squadron of C-130s for the Belgian Congo, and I didn't see him for 6 weeks. It was at that moment that I realized what a commitment defending your country really was. It was going forward instead of retreating. It was defending others that could not defend themselves. It was risking your life to preserve the life that we all have and love. It's kind of, in a way, the same scenario as a fireman running into a building instead of away from it. Every person up here is one of those people that runs towards danger instead of away. They hear the call, they come on a run, and they chase the danger away to preserve an idea and a principle of freedom with their country. And for that, I salute you, everyone salutes you, and I ask you to thank a veteran. We'd like to conclude the program now with the rendition of taps. If you please rise. That's for all of those that can't be here today. That concludes this ceremony today. I have one or two little administrative things I'd like to do. Following the ceremony, Coach Reeves and the Marlin cross country team is going to leave for the state. Everyone's invited outside in the front to wish them off and beat on the bus as they drive out. I would please ask that the audience remain seated while the veterans are able to leave.
When are you going to